Why come and speak with us now after so many months after the event took place?
Well, the reason why I'm speaking to you is that there seems to be a lot of reporting out there that I think is not necessarily accurate. We're not, we don't have all the information available to us. We know our part. We know what happened on that particular day and what we did. Toronto knows what they did and what they did on that particular day and their part in it.
For the first time since Dafonte Miller was viciously assaulted on a December night, Durham Region's chief of police stepping in front of the camera to speak with City News. His hope to clear the air about his force's involvement into an incident which left a 19-year-old blind in one eye, a Toronto police officer charged with assault, and a whole lot of questions around a potential police cover-up.
I know there's a lot of speculation out there as far as what happened or what we did or didn't do and what Toronto did or didn't do.
Here's a timeline of the chain of events which has entangled two GTA police forces and put their police boards on the hot seat. December 28th, Dafonte Miller is hit with a steel pipe just before 3 a.m. in Whitby. Durham police quickly arrest and charge Miller. They also notified Toronto Police Services one of their off-duty officers may be involved in the incident. April 27th, Miller's lawyer contacts the SIU, which investigates incidents involving police officers in Ontario. May 5th, all charges against Dafonte Miller are withdrawn following a pre-trial hearing.
That's what you do? That's what you guys get paid for, man.
July 11th, the province's Special Investigations Unit arrests and charges Constable Michael Theriault with aggravated assault, assault with a weapon, and public mischief. The officer is released and suspended with pay. His brother is also charged days later. July 19th, City News reveals John Theriault, the accused father, is a long-time detective with Toronto Police and currently works in the Professional Standards Unit, which handles officer misconduct. That same day, Mark Pugash, the head of Toronto Police Communications, tells two City News journalists Professional Standards was in no way involved in the case. July 28th, Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders contradicts his head of communications, admitting that Professional Standards was involved and it was their decision not to call the SIU.
For your force, if one of your officers was involved and charged in an assault, and his father worked in a department which was investigating that assault, would you have concerns? Would you be concerned about a potential conflict of interest?
Well, it's difficult for me to comment on hypotheticals. If we have any doubt in our mind whether the SIU should be notified or not, we notify them and then they choose to invoke or not.
Dafonte Miller's lawyer says Theriault identified himself as a cop in the 911 call at the scene of the assault, which means the SIU should have been called. Durham Chief Paul Martin admitting today his team is also conducting an internal investigation of how everything was handled.
It's one of those things where we've never encountered this type of situation before. So when you have no precedent, what happens is there was a lot of discussion on that evening. When you don't have any precedent, you refer back to the legislation, and that is that the chief who employs the officer, it's their responsibility or their service's responsibility to notify the SIU.
Along with an SIU report, Waterloo Regional Police has been called in to conduct an independent investigation.
Public confidence in the police and how they do their job and places where people might make mistakes is essential. That doesn't all get adequately exposed and explained by what's going on now. We'll do whatever we have to do to make sure the public have the confidence they must have in policing.
Toronto Police Communications declined a request to speak with Chief Mark Saunders today. In Durham, Chief Paul Martin says he's eager for the reports to be made public.
Why has it taken this long for us to have this conversation?
Well, you got to, without getting into the details, we have to appreciate that the subject of our investigation was very different. And this is a portion of that total night. I'm hoping that all the information will come out as far as what our involvement was, what we did or didn't do on that particular evening.
Now, both Theriaults are set to appear inside an Oshawa courtroom on August 10th. If you want to see the full list of our timeline leading up to the trial, go to our website, citynews.ca. Now, as we mentioned, Waterloo Police are now conducting an independent investigation into both Durham and Toronto Police's conduct in this whole case. Now, ahead on City News, we'll tell you why they may have been chosen.
Police service outside of the City of Toronto, and one where I believe the chief and his senior officers are held in high regard by the communities here in Toronto that know of some of their activities. I have every faith in their integrity to write this report, to write a full and complete report about all the circumstances here that are in question.
It's a difficult job with everyone watching. The Waterloo Regional Police Service has been tasked with conducting an internal probe into how the brutal beating of 19-year-old Dafonte Miller was handled by both Durham and Toronto police services. The SIU has charged a police officer and his brother in the case. So why was Waterloo chosen? Well, as you just heard the mayor said, that city's top cop comes highly recommended. Chief Brian Larkin is the vice president of the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police. We've done stories on disciplining officers who have broken the law, and he has been very outspoken about keeping them accountable.
Do you feel as though the way that the disciplinary hearings are made public or not is effective in being fair and transparent for the public?
Well, again, it varies from service to service, but I think if you look at it provincially, it's very difficult to find decisions around the actual OCPC decisions. They used to be posted to online. Open data is an important piece, and I view that tribunal decisions are really around open data. Transparency should be at the forefront, and access to that information should be at the forefront.
Mayor John Tory today saying again that all questions surrounding transparency and accountability will be answered, and if they're not in the report coming from Waterloo Regional Police, the city or the Toronto Police Board will look at conducting another independent review. Now, for a full list of important dates and a timeline for this case, just head to our website, citynews.ca.